You know, the most dangerous people in this world are quiet, silent, watching, waiting. Just imagine this. A man in a suit, sipping coffee in silence, watching a city move every blink, every step, every careless smile. He says nothing. He does nothing. Yet somehow, he is more dangerous than the ones who scream. Real danger is not loud. It's patient. It's calculated, and when it strikes, you never see it coming. In a world addicted to noise, the quiet ones learn to listen. They study what scares you, what makes you tick, what keeps you loyal, and then they use it. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Because the devil doesn't knock, he's already sitting at the table. So ask yourself, what if? The most dangerous person you'll ever meet is the one who never raised their voice. What if they're not coming for you because they're already here? The question isn't if you've met them. The question is, will you realize it before it's too late? They smile, they shake your hand, they ask about your day, laugh at your jokes, maybe even cry at the right moments. But behind their eyes, something watches. Something calculates. They think they are safe because someone is polite, calm/soft-spoken. But that's the mask. It was always the mask. These people study us, our gestures, our fears, our weaknesses. They mimic emotions not because they feel them, but because they know we do. And in a world addicted to appearances, the best disguise is normality. It is not the monster who hides in the woods that scares me. A voice once said, it is the one who walks calmly through the crowd. And maybe that's what we fear the most. Not the loud danger, but the quiet one. The one that doesn't look like danger at all. Because if evil looks like everyone else, how do you ever truly feel safe? That mask isn't just for others. It's for survival, for manipulation, for power. And if they wear it long enough, even they forget it's there. A child isn't born dangerous. He's born curious, soft, searching, but give him silence instead of answers, punishment instead of protection, isolation instead of love, and the story begins to change. You see, the monster isn't always in the mirror. Sometimes it's in the uniform, the badge, the system, the pressure to conform. We like to think we are moral, that cruelty lives on the fringes of society, but it doesn't. It lives in the shadows of orders, in the silence of followers, in the machinery of normal. History is not short of men who weren't born monsters, but became them. We raise people in systems that reward submission, punish emotion, and glorify power. We laugh at the weak, we ignore the lonely, and then we're shocked when the quiet ones erupt. We built a world where survival requires performance, where vulnerability is weakness, where being human is a liability, and in that world, some break, some disappear, and some adapt. They grow colder, sharper, more watchful, and then one day they smile not out of joy, but calculation, because if you want to survive a cruel world, you either become invisible, or you become dangerous. It is not that I was born dangerous. The voice echoes in the dark. It is that you made me dangerous. And maybe we all played a part. From the moment you're born, society begins to shape you like clay pressed into molds built long before your first breath. You're taught when to speak, how to dress, what to think, not because these things matter to you, but because they matter to them, the architects of order. But what happens when someone refuses to play along? When they color outside the lines, not out of rebellion, but because the lines never made sense to begin with. What it fears, truly fears, is unpredictability. People who can't be categorized, who don't tick boxes, who exist outside the algorithm. You see, schools don't punish ignorance, they punish disruption. Prisons don't house monsters, they house the disobedient. Corporations don't fire you for incompetence, they fire you for non-compliance. It's not about right or wrong, it's about control. And when you step outside that control, when you smile without reason, speak without permission, Act without fear. You become the one thing the system can't handle. A variable, the man who doesn't fear punishment, who isn't moved by shame, who doesn't crave approval, isn't just dangerous, he's untouchable. Because the world isn't afraid of what he'll do. It's afraid it can't stop him, and so it labels him, tries to contain him, silence him, but he walks on, not with rage, but clarity. He knows the rules were never made for justice. They were made for obedience, and in that realization, he becomes more than a threat. He becomes a symbol, a fracture in the illusion, a whisper that says, you are not in control. You never were. There's a part of you you've never met, a voice that whispers when the lights go out, a face that only shows itself when no one's watching. You've been taught to fear it, to hide it, to deny it. But what if the real danger isn't in acknowledging that darkness? What if it's in pretending it's not there? Carl Jung called it the shadow, the rejected self, the buried self, the self you locked away to be accepted, applauded, controlled. You smile politely, you say what's expected, you blend in, but underneath there is rage, there is lust, there is envy, pride, power, pain. Not because you're evil, but because you're human. And the more you pretend to be pure, the more your shadow grows in silence, festering, waiting until one day it breaks through. Not with warning, but with force. You snap, you sabotage, you become the very thing you swore you weren't. But what if instead of burying the beast, you met it? What if you looked it in the eyes and said, I see you, I know you, you are part of me. This isn't about giving in to chaos. It's about making peace with it. Because danger isn't just out there in the world, it lives inside you. And the only way to master it is to own it. You cannot be truly moral if you've never had the capacity for harm. You cannot be truly kind if you've never been capable of cruelty. To choose the light, you must have walked through the dark. I am dangerous. You say not with pride, but with understanding. Because you dared to know yourself when everyone else pretended to be pure. You are not harmless. You are aware. You are not perfect. You are whole, and that makes you powerful. Not because you dominate, but because you don't need to. The shadow no longer controls you. It walks beside you, silent, integrated, known. And that is how you stop being afraid. Not by running from your darkness, but by becoming the one who holds it without being consumed. I didn't scream. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't shatter glass or spill blood. But I am dangerous, and you will realize it. You look for threats in the loud ones, the ones who shout, break, burn. But the real danger is quiet. It watches, it learns, it waits. Not all monsters have fangs. Not all threats come with warning. You trusted the ones who smiled, who followed the rules, who told you what you wanted to hear. But what you should have feared was the one who didn't need your approval, the one who didn't beg for belonging, the one who could walk away and never look back. Because that's who the world fears most. The unpredictable, the ungoverned, the self-aware. I don't break rules for fun. I don't chase chaos for attention. I've simply met the part of me you buried, and I didn't run. You fear me because I'm not afraid of myself. You fear me because I remind you of what you locked away, the part of you that knows how to fight, how to survive, how to see clearly when the world lies. And if that part ever wakes up, it won't knock, it won't ask permission. It will step into the light, wearing your name, your face, your voice, and you'll understand I was never your enemy. I was your mirror. Now fade into silence. No more words, just the echo of a truth too long denied.